My name is Mr. Goggins. It's my Instructor1 presentation. So I'm gonna get the room set up. You guys can go ahead and get a drink. Get some back in water.
It's 10 o'clock.
$10 exactly. Noon, it's the stopping point. That place. Two minutes in. It's gonna step back where you started.
We brought the whiteboard downstairs.
Okay, do we just load it into the car?
Just load it in the pickup and drop it down.
Do that.
Sweet. Good luck.
Thanks.
They'll do fine.
Very well. This doesn't say if I'm gonna be so sad. Was March here back yet? Can we bring people in? Yeah.
we need to show our face as witnesses.
Yeah, walk front of the camera. So they know there's three of us. Alex, we all in front of the camera, please, so we can see that there's three people present. All right. So today we're gonna talk about PPE, but first. It's transcribing all that stuff, because it's all right, I got it now. One more second, just get a couple IT things going.
Get over here. I see it there.
That's not getting fine. Not worry about it, it should be fine. All right, first and foremost, Ms. Scoggins, for sure you guys know me. Emergency exits. Next up, this door here. Next out to this door here. The building is fire alarmed and sprinkled. There's also emergency exit out this door here. So in case of emergency, we will go out these doors. Any emergency such as an earthquake will go under our desks. If you guys need to use the bathroom, straight out those doors to the right, there's two bathrooms there, and there is coffee and water if you need some hydration. So we're going over PPE and the various types of PPE, and big focus will be mostly on our air packs. And luckily enough, we have a person on our air pack committee that can give us all kinds of insights. I'm not talking enough. So with anything PPE, we have to make sure it's the appropriate PPE and the appropriate PPE meaning we're not gonna wear wildland gear for a structure fire, we're not wearing a structure fire for wildland gear. We do have the new, our new rescue gear, which can be used for extrications and for wildland scenarios. We have helmets that come with those, special with our wildland gear. But with our PPE, so it's gotta be the right PPE for the right incident, but also have to be working correctly. So a quick inspection of our gear before we go into a structure fire. We all know basics. Make sure our flap is zipped, our flap is Velcroed. You have the Velcro on. Make sure it goes all the way up to the neck. Making sure our Nomex hood's on. A good way to do our check is to make sure you're good, put your stuff on, and then make sure your partner's good, make sure their stuff's all on and done appropriately. And same for them, they check you. It's just two types of system safety check. So different types of PPE like we talked about, station and work uniforms like we're in now. With our work uniforms, we have the fire resistant pants. So our fire resistant pants, we have cotton shirts. And we have our boots that would have steel toe boots or composite toe boot. Protect our feet from anything falling. Anytime we're doing any kind of work out in the bays or anything like that, we have to have our steel toe boots on. Roadway operations. So all of our gear has reflective stuff on it, but we go one step farther, making sure if we're on any roadway, we wear our safety vest. But our safety vest has to be on all roadway incidents. The only exception for that is if we have some sort of car fire. We don't have to necessarily have, if you're actually fighting the car fire, you do not have to have that vest on for obvious reasons, because it has a low melting point. So it'll melt your gear pretty quickly and ruin a set of gear. But any type of car wreck, extrication, anything like that, we are wearing that safety vest. So emergency medical PPE, so that there's various types. With COVID, we got a lot more, it opened our eyes a lot more to the airborne stuff. So we wear surgical masks now, we wear N95 masks. Cole County EMS has, I think they call them Halo respirators that they'll wear too. basically encapsulating, rebreather. We use medical gloves. We'll have gowns if it's any kind of like childbirth scenarios. We'll use gowns for that. Obviously, there can be methods, any kind of spurting blood wounds. We don't want to get that blood on us and things. They'll wear gowns, or we'll wear full hazmat suits. Our policies are ever changing. So before we had COVID, we were pretty lax on N95s and surgical masks. If you went on flu patient or COVID patient, pneumonia, we were really laxed on all that. We always just went in. We didn't think anything of it going in without surgical masks or a 95 mask. But with everything that came out with COVID, we kind of realized maybe we could beef up that a little bit. So that's when we started wearing N95s on respiratory emergencies. So do not wear clothing that is not fire resistant synthetic materials under PPE. So we always make a big deal that if our clothes underneath are getting burned, then it's too late anyway. We're probably already too high of temperatures. But why take the risk? Maybe you aren't in full PPE for a car fire or something, and there's some sort of explosion, and you're still close enough. Why wear anything that could melt to your skin? So just 100% cotton materials. They're not always as comfortable, but they're that way they're not going to melt to your skin in case there is some weird high hazard materials. Shoes we talked about. So the required at the station usually have steel toes, puncture resistant soles, or special inserts. Do not wear during emergency operations. So we are not going to wear our station gear, our station boots into a structure fire. I think we obviously know that. But the puncture resistant soles, so we go into all kinds of different housing situations where they could have needles sitting on the floors. We don't want to step on something like that and then stick our foot. And then now we got to go do a whole bunch of lab testing and making sure we don't have all the different kind of crazy diseases, the Hep C's, the HIVs, the AIDS, all of it. Tetanus. So do not take our uniforms home. Do not launder uniforms in personal or public machines. Uniforms must be laundered at the station or by a contractor. So we don't launder our stuff by a contractor because we're not that bougie. But we do, so when we first started, a lot of us wore our uniforms home to work because we just thought as new people that we needed to show up to work in our uniform. And we've came and changed that here just recently, where nobody's to wear uniforms home. There's just no reason to take all that sickness and disease home to your kids, your wives, your husbands, when the city supplies us with a washer and dryer and soaps. So just wash your stuff here. So when you come into work, wear your clothes from home, and then when you get into work, switch into your gear or switch into your station uniform. With the laundering, we have turnout gear, washer, and we have an extractor. Turnout gear, extractor, and then we have separate from that, we have just a regular washer and dryer for our regular station clothes. So anytime we have a structure fire, we're just to wash our gloves, Nomex, outside shell and inside shell, and the extractor. And the gear extractor, and I think we'll dive into that here in a little bit as well. Doing FPA 1971, that's going to be on all of our turnout gear. That's stamped on it. That is the curriculum on which our gear should follow. With our stuff, usually our names are on it as well, and so that way we keep our stuff separate from other people's stuff. Because we have a structure fire, me and Nick might wash our gear together, and when we wash it together, maybe we're similar sized guys, so it would be confusing on whose coat's whose and whose pants are whose, and that way it's an easy way for us to keep those separate. PPE is designed to cover all skin and prevent heat transfer to the body. PPE has limits to the amount of heat it can absorb. Hot PPE can cause contact burns. Time that PPE takes to reach a dangerous absorption limit depends on heat transfer rate. So the big takeaway for me is all PPE is going to have a fail point, no matter what it is. If it's medical gear, medical gloves, we all know that we'll have a blowout with a medical glove, whether they're too tight or you're just you're working a patient and you start to get sweat and wet and then that glove rips. Same way with our turnout gear. Our turnout gear, it's got a limit on heat. So it's only going to absorb so much heat until it's going to fail. Same with our face mask. And typically your face mask is the thing that fails first before your turnout gear. So that's one thing to keep in mind. That's a big reason of why it's good to know fire behavior. And if you're getting in limits that are too high, we all have thermal cameras now, so we're able to check heat. But if you're starting to get to that flashover stage, know that no gear is going to withstand going through a flashover. Anytime your turnout gear has been in too hot of an environment, you need to check it. You need to go through it. If you do feel like there's any damage to your gear, that has to go up to a supervisor to look over that gear to make sure that it is still fit for duty. If it's not fit for duty, here at Jeff City, we all have a backup set of gear. And our backup sets of gear is kept at our stations, unless you're a floater. Your floater gear is kept at either station 1. This is kept at station 1 now, so you have to run there and grab it. Having 2 sets of gear is it's a pretty big step in keeping all carcinogens and stuff off us. That way we can launder the dirty gear and we're still in service with our backup gear. It's a really good luxury that we have. Contact burns with hot PPE. That's not something we think about a ton. We have a down firefighter inside. We go to pull that firefighter outside and we get him outside. What's the first thing we want to do is help that person. So a lot of times the first thing we want to do is we don't have much dexterity in our gloves. So we want to pop our gloves off and then start opening that person up. But you have to think that they were in that super heated environment. I go to pop my gloves off. That turnout gear is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. And that's shielding heat away, making that turnout gear in itself very hot. So we have to make sure that we're not going to burn our own hands trying to help, because then we're useless because our hands are burned. So we need to make sure that that gear isn't too hot. If it is too hot, you have to use your bunker gloves to unzip, undo waist straps, SCBA straps, zippers. And if it's not too hot, take gloves off and then render the first aid. So PPE traps our turnout gear, traps moisture and heat inside. So we've all been working in turnout gear and it just gets so hot and you can't get that heat off of you from inside. So that's the heat you've generated. It's just not able to get rid of that heat. So it's keeping it in tight. So that is something that we need to be cognizant of and why we need to exercise and condition ourselves to being in that kind of environments. So we can elevate our heart rate, our breathing rate, our skin temperature, core temperature, call it psychological stress. And psychological stress, if you're just hot, and if you're not used to being hot and exercising in that kind of environment, can add all different kinds of stressors, making you not make correct decisions, not able to talk on the radio very well, communicate very well. So that's a big reason for fitness to combat that. So the breathing and the heart rate and skin temperature. Another good thing that we do here is we have we do a yearly physical where they test our heart, they test our blood work, our urine. They test all the stuff just to make sure that we are fit, we are in good shape to do this job. We also have a PAT test every year. With the PAT test, we're doing a lot of fire ground exercises for time. So we do a high-rise pack. We carry a high-rise pack up 5 flights of stairs. And then we get up to the top Then we gotta lower down a hose with the rope. And all this while we're having air pack on and full turnout gear. And then we get down to the bottom, and then we gotta advance the hose line, and then we gotta drag a dummy. So just a bunch of different scenarios that we would do on a fire ground, just making sure that if you are able to do it. So if you do fail it, we just know that we need to progress and get better. So we fail it, we sit you down with a peer fitness trainer, and so we have a couple of peer fitness trainers on the department who are super cool, and they will make a workout plan for you to be able to get you in better shape to do these abilities better. You'll retest again in a month, but we just want to see progress. We're not expecting you to shave 10 minutes off in a month, but if you can shave off 30 seconds, we know that we're making correct progress, and we'll just keep on doing that until you're fit. So the shields on our helmets prevent heat or scalding water and embers from reaching the ears and neck. They protect the head from impact injuries and provide protection from heat and cold. So with our helmets, so they all have the bill on the back, which allows water to rain down and not go inside down our neck. It allows it to go off. They also have little ear flaps. Some people will take those ear flaps off, but those ear flaps are a thermal protection for our ears. So we recommend keeping those on and in place. Chin straps, you see chin straps a lot of times where people will either take chin strap and put it around the back, so it's not actually holding that helmet on there. We recommend putting the chin strap on, tighten it up when you are working. Some people who have a lot of money will buy a leather helmet, and they will wear leather helmets. They think that makes them look cooler. But as long as it passes the NFPA standard, you can wear that leather helmet here at Jefferson City Fire Department. They protect from head impact injuries. So we all know that if you're inside and stuff falls down on you, you want something over your head to protect that. If you're inside pulling ceiling or maybe a ceiling does give way and lands on your head, I'd rather have a helmet on than not a helmet. They provide heat protection from heat and cold. So same thing with the contact burns that we talked about with our turnout gear applies to the helmet. And you'll be on structure fires, you'll come out for a bottle recycle or maybe you're going to rehab and get a bottle of water. We'll take our gloves off. And there's been times where I'll take my helmet off. I'm like, that helmet is pretty hot still. So that's another thing to be cognizant of, that helmet still can be hot when you come out of a structure fire. For cold injuries, I don't know what a helmet does. Face shields alone do not provide adequate protection. NFPA 1500 requires appropriate primary eye protection. Some situations require eye protection, but not respiratory protection. So, some of our helmets have the flip down kind of styles. So with the flip down styles, a lot of people will take those off because they will, when you go to tighten them, they will get loose. And so you can tighten them and have them real tight, and then you go actually into a structure fire and you start working, and then you're like, man, I can't see at all anymore. But a lot of times it's just because that visor has came down and it's got a bunch of crap on it and you can't see. So it's just another hard thing to see with. So a lot of people take those off. I recommend keeping them on so it's safer. The SCBA face piece obviously provides eye protection. They would like the face shield with this, double up on your eye protection. How real is that in the real world? Not super real. Some helmets will have the borks that flip down. So the borks are not rated by themselves for any sort of cutting. So you can't just wear your borks and no other eye protection. You either have to have your face piece on or another pair of safety glasses on, like this gentleman here has. So those would have to be on with your borks as well. A lot of us carry just ANSI rated safety glasses in our bunker gear or in our extrication gear. It's just they're pretty cheap to come by, and if they sit around your gear and they do get broke, it's cheap to get another pair. But that way, if you're on if you're on a fire and you're not on air, so you don't have your SCBA on, your face mask on, but you need to ventilate a garage door. For something where there's no risks of explosions or there's no other risk of respiratory emergencies. And then you could just take your glasses out of your coat, put those on, make your cuts, and then you're not limited with the visibility as much as with the face piece. Safety goggles. We have safety goggles on our rescue gear. So rescue gear came with helmets that are really sweet looking, and they have helmets, or they have goggles on those helmets. Some of our fire turnout helmets, they have goggles. Some people have goggles on them as well. So there's many different ways to hit that standard on having not just one thing. Protection hoods. So protection hood protects your ears, your neck, your face, exposure to heat, embers, and debris. Covers area that might not be covered by an SCBA. The elastic edge forms a seal. Skirts are designed to fit inside the protective coat. Pull hood on before the coat and secure the SCBA face piece before pulling up the hood. So you always hear old timers back in the day, they always said that they didn't like wearing a Nomex hood because Nomex hood, they liked to be able to feel the heat to know if it was getting too hot. They would say the best way to do that is not to wear a hood, and you could feel the heat on your neck or on your ears, and you know if it was getting too hot, then it was time to get out. Obviously, that's not the standard anymore. So we have hoods along with having two sets of gear. Two sets of the turnout gear. We have two hoods as well. So anytime that we wear a Nomex hood into an environment that's going to get carcinogens on it, that gets washed as well. Your neck is one of your places that will absorb those carcinogens the fastest in your body. So we will always replace our hoods. We have really good hoods here. You'll see some hoods, they'll have like a real short neck, and you can, when you put your coat on, you can kind of feel a little draft coming in. But our hoods here are real good. They're real long. The elastic edge that forms a seal. So they're talking about this circle edge here. So when you put your mask on, that elastic will help hold that along your face seal. That way you're not getting a little bit of skin exposed on the side of your face. So the big reason on putting your hood on before your coat, it's pretty obvious. If I put my coat on and then I try to put my hood on, I don't know that I'm going to get those areas covered as well. Or if I put my hood on and then I have my hood up and then I put my coat on, it's guaranteed that all that skin is going to be protected. So about 10 more minutes and then we'll take a 10-minute break. Is that okay with everybody? Good. Okay.
20-minute break.
You're not on the gear committee, are you, Paul? March? I think it was Dylan's on it.
Dylan is our C-shift representative for the year.
Is it just one?
He says Lisa's
Dylan
on
and
there
Lisa.
too.
But it's not just one per shift. So
No, it's like
And
Shane,
all the safety committee people on it too.
Shane and Jesse and Holt. It's all drivers pretty much.
yeah, I know that Sherm said that he had he wants, what do you want? He wanted like a radio holder here. Because he said he wants firefighting mode. He wants to be able to put his radio up here for store mode. When he goes to the store.
In his bunker here?
Yeah. So we're getting new gear in the near future, so they're supposed to be rolling out some prototypes, and we have a gear committee set up. And they're going through all the different manufacturers, going through making a list of pros and cons, what they like, what they don't like. It'll probably depend on budget, which most things do. Whatever we get the best deal for, best bang for our buck, well, I'm sure we'll do. Usually low bid wins. So their gears consist of 3 barriers. There's the outer shell, moisture barrier, thermal. So the outer shell is more for like your abrasive stuff. So when you're in a structure fire and you're rubbing up against some sort of metal or something sharp, that's what that outer shell is there to protect. Then you got your moisture barrier and your thermal barrier. thermal barrier, obviously, keeping your heat, moisture barrier, keeping you dry. And all the manufacturers have the same setup, with gear. We'll have different little things where they'll keep, like your radio to hook on different spots. Some will have different pockets, but it's all about the same. I don't know if it's in code anymore to have instead of the Velcro, they had the old hooks. I haven't seen anybody make those anymore, but those are pretty cool. I know I have an old, 3/4 coat from a guy from Chicago. That would be the bee's names. I wear a 3/4 coat with long boots. No, it's doing it. Protective trousers. Same materials and closure systems that protect as protective coats, reinforcement in high compression areas, cargo or patch pockets, heavy duty suspenders, retroflective trim. So it's the exact same material and stuff as your top coat. With the reinforcement in high compression areas, I've seen some of the gear will have elbow. So it's just a beefed up support system. That way, when you're constantly walking around on it, you're not ripping your knees out, ripping your elbows out. It's just to make that lifespan of that gear last a little bit longer on the wear and tear. Cargo or patch pockets. So we always have pockets on the sides of the pants. And people carry all different kinds of things in there. A lot of us carry webbing. Usually I carry an extra set of gloves in mine. Go around the room. What do you carry in your pants, Locke?
I've got a Gerber in there, some webbing. I've got several wedges in there. I got a carabiner in there. I've got a multi-tool, but it's not really multi, it's like a wedge with a seatbelt cutter and a gas shut-off kind of a thing.
Snacks.
I got some Gerdettos.
Merch?
Webbing, carabiners, a screwdriver, pliers, knife, wedges. Some extra gloves, I think.
All I carry a pair of cutters, screwdriver, and my set of leather gloves, overhaul gloves, or roll hose gloves.
So we all carry just a little bit, mostly the same stuff, but just a little bit different stuff. It's all preference based. Heavy duty suspenders. A lot of us went to the leather suspenders. They seem to hold up a lot better. And I literally mean like hold your pants up better. When you get the neoprene style, it seems like you either have to tie knots in it and to make them stay. So I don't know how many times you'd have the neoprene ones on and you just start working for a while and your pants are dragging on the ground because it's loosened all the way up. A lot of us that went to those leather ones, which just seems to help a ton with that. The only thing with the leather ones is you constantly sweat and stuff on them, so you got to recondition that leather from time to time or it gets super stiff. So we talked about the reflective trim. The reflective trim there, and the coats have it as well. A lot of times they have it on the wrists, and then they'll have it on the back of the arm, and then on the lower back, and they'll say usually our names on the back on the coats. But we do not consider that enough for a roadway incident we talked about earlier. We want to make sure that we still have that reflective vest because it's great for at a structure fire. We're not worried about traffic, and where you can shine a light and you can hit that reflective off us, but on the roadway, we want as much reflective as possible, so we go vests. Protective gloves. Protect from heat, steam, cold penetration, resist cuts, punctures, and liquid absorption. Must allow dexterity, feeling, and grasping. Cover the wristlets to form a complete seal. Must be NFPA compliant. There's different gloves. Some of them have like the gauntlet style, I think they're called. Basically, whatever your coat is, you have to have the correct glove for it. So if you have the coat that has the ring for your thumb hole, that's a different glove than if you just have the wrist cuff. Sometimes you need that longer glove with a little bit of extra elasticity at the end. We all know that fire gloves, the biggest downfall to them is the dexterity. It's very hard to be good with gloves first time you put them on. So that is a trained thing to be good with fire gloves, working with fire gloves. So it takes some takes some getting used to. We all know that they're actually pretty good for cold penetration, because a lot of times when we shovel snow and stuff at the stations, we throw our bunk gloves on because they're super warm. With, just like any of our other gear, our gloves probably wear out the fastest. They wear out because we use them a lot. They'll get little rips, tears, so the stitching will start to come undone. We always have extra gloves here, and so if you do need gloves, you just come and tell somebody, and they'll grab you a new set of gloves. Depending on the manufacturer at the time, who had the best deal, is usually the gloves that we get. So sometimes some gloves are better than others. That's designed to protect from puncture and crushing wounds, scalding water, or contaminated liquids or burns. So I'd say the leather is by far the more common boot in today's fire service, but we still have a couple guys who wear the rubber boots. I think Squad 5 captain still likes the rubber boots, but he doesn't do a ton of work, so that's why he probably likes them the best. But the leather boots are more comfortable. They seem to be pretty durable, and they are pretty warm as well. A lot of times we work in the winter time, and my feet stay pretty warm in them. They are puncture and crush resistance. Basically, they have the same steel toe, beefed up steel toe on them. Puncture resistance, so you can walk across glass, sharp objects, and they're not going to penetrate, get your foot. And they are rated for thermal, where these are like our station boots are not. So you can wear these into superheated environments, and your feet are always going to stay fine. I think they're one of the higher things on our gear as far as thermal ratings. Pass device. Personal alert safety systems. Admitted to alert personnel that firefighter is in danger. Activates when a firefighter is motionless for more than 30 seconds or when a firefighter presses the emergency button. Some models may activate when temperature exceeds a preset limit. Must be at least 95 decibels and go off continuously for at least 1 hour. Assist rescuers locating trapped, unconscious, or incapacitated firefighters. Useful in total darkness, dense smoke, and confined spaces. So all of our air packs have the integrated pass device. I did not know the 95 decibels until I started going through this PowerPoint. I didn't know the actual set limit on it. So they can hinder communication a little bit. So when we have a mayday and a firefighter sets off his pass device, he has to make sure that when he goes to call that mayday over the radio, that he silences that pass device, because they are screeching loud. And if you try to radio out with one going off, it's near impossible to hear it. So in our protocols, it is that you turn it off once you alert the mayday. You need to get that radio traffic out and then have that silence. And then it does help it helps other crews find you, but also if you're able to yell and holler and listen, it almost benefits you to have that off as well. Because I can't hear another crew in the next room because I have this pass device blaring at me. And I can yell to them or make radio comms saying, yeah, I hear them, they're floor above me, or I can hear them in 2 rooms across from me, or whatever. But where it comes into being hugely beneficial is if you have a down firefighter, so they're not making any communications, and we constantly hear that pass going off. That gives us something, a target to try to get to. And maybe they were on the floor collapsed, they went to the floor below, and nobody has any idea that it happened. So they immediately went unconscious. So there's no radio communications for a mayday. All we hear is a pass device going off. So that allows us to know something's wrong. So if you are motionless for 30 seconds, that's when it'll start those alerts. It progressively gets louder and louder until it's screaming at you. And with the MSAs used to be that you could shake your pass device, and then that would silence it. With our Scots, is our new one's going to be the same?
The new ones will be the same, but everything built into the bottom of the pack.
So they're built in. It's basically got just a light on it, and it's got a little ball that rolls across. And if that little ball doesn't break that light beam, then it thinks something's wrong, so it'll start alerting. A lot of times on scene, everybody will be standing outside after on an overhaul job or something, and then you'll hear just constantly pre-alerts starting because people haven't been moving for 30 seconds, and then you'll see a bunch of people shaking their butt like little ducks. Or somebody won't shake, and then somebody will grab them and shake them for 'em. Four more minutes. This slide. Wildland PPE and gear. It will not protect you from extreme heat. Never wear synthetic underclothes. NFPA 1500 specifies minimum PPE for ground cover firefighting. Helmet with eye protection, neck rude. Flame retardant shirt, pants or jumpsuit, protective footwear, clothes, fire shelter. We do not have a ton of wildland firefighting here, but we do have a little bit. And always our big complaint was it sucked in the middle of summertime, fighting just a little grass fire and bunker gear. And same with extrications, it always sucks having the big bulky turnout gear when you're trying to get in a car to get a patient's C-spine or setting up cribbing or whatever. You just didn't need that big bulky bunker gear. So with our new rescue gear, it works as the same. We can use the rescue gear for wildland because there's enough thermal protection for that. And then also it helps with cuts, abrasions and things for extrication. So it is actually very handy that we have that new set of gear. But like the top line says, it will not protect from extreme heat. So even if you have a car fire fully going and I was worried that there might be patients in that car, I'm still gonna put my bunker gear on just because I don't think that gear is gonna hold up to that heat. So that's the knowing what kind of gear and when you should be in it. Fire shelter, so that's more of an out west thing where they have the little zip up bags. That's not something we have here. It is pretty cool to see if you watch videos on them, how quickly they can deploy those bags and hop in them. We could hit on this quite a bit. Roadway operations clothing. No PPE can prevent injuries from a moving vehicle. Best protection is to work behind an apparatus or barrier. So the most dangerous thing we do on this job is either our garage doors at station 1 or roadway emergencies. Roadway emergencies, we can't control what another vehicle does. It's just a variable that's uncontrollable. We can't control if somebody's on their phone, not paying attention, flying past an emergency scene, or somebody's drunk driving and not able, and like a moth to a flame goes right into red and blue lights. We can't control these things, so we have to set up the way we park our apparatus, the way we wear our vests, the way somebody's constantly watching the roadway. That's our only defense mechanism for these things. So anytime we have any kind of medical emergency or a vehicle wreck on the highway, we set up a blocker and then the vehicle and then another apparatus in front. Draw that cool picture. I'll take some time. So say this car's having emergency, medical emergency, they call 911, car's here, say this is 54, 2 lanes there. We would set up our fire truck. Set up here, so we're blocking, so that allows people to work here. A lot of times the ambulance will pull past and come here. We can load patients straight from here into the back of the ambulance. And then we'll put another fire truck here, and then they'll have their wiggy wags on, telling cars to come to this lane. So that way, when cars are coming up, they're either gonna run to the back of this truck when these people are completely safe, or they'll see and they'll drive around. What we don't want is this not to be here, and then a car just coming plowing into that. So we try to do the best we can on putting safeties in place for roadway emergencies, but it's still the most dangerous thing that we do. Job. Safety considerations for PPE. PPE can absorb heat until it's hotter than the ambient temperature. PPE can heat and cause Velcro components to fuse together. Buildup of heat will eventually penetrate all layers of PPE. Written rescue personnel must exercise caution and wear gloves when removing PPE from a firefighter. So we hit on a lot of this stuff already. And like I said earlier, it wasn't something I ever thought a ton about, pulling a firefighter out of a burning building and having their stuff still be super hot. So again, it's just being able to work with that dexterity with your gloves, being able to take all that stuff off, which we should be able to do because a lot of times we work with our own gear with our gloves on, but it is a little bit different working on somebody else's gear. So just make sure we're practicing that from time to time. PPE can cause Velcro components to get to fuse together. So if we are pulling somebody out, we always have trauma shears on the truck, but we don't necessarily always have trauma shears with our RIT personnel. But I think that is kind of something to keep in mind, that if that gear does fuse together and maybe it is too hard to just pull apart, that might be something you had to try to cut. I imagine trying to cut through a pair of turnout things is going to be fairly tough. But that is something to consider, that if that does fuse together, that will be mighty difficult on trying to get that coat or pants off of that firefighter. With that, is there any questions? We're gonna take a 10-minute break. We'll be back here at 10:57.
Did a really good job. I appreciate all your knowledge on this subject. You're making a lot of passive aggressive comments about it. First one.
Might be something that they knew him, they're like, was what he said.
You just asked one question, I think.
No, I think I'm gonna be trying to cut the time.
Well, cut it, man.
They got an hour
If this
left.
goes a second over 2 hours, I'm writing my own email.
They got an hour left and still gotta do 2 practicals and a test.
Practicals?
Yeah, but practicals. I need 3.
No. Then you should have 5 down here, bro.
It's super simple.
You're super simple.
That's factual. Now it's on the written document. Oh. Man, talking so long, you just get tired.
Let's talk about it. It's the roof.
I feel like I've given very good insight on a lot of things. There's probably people back in the plan. I'm gonna try to start shaving. I'm really. I think I'm gonna do something long. 2 hours and 1 minute is the goal.
Cause all that counts too, right? All the skills.
Apparently, they got counts on that.
Can we talk about the seals?
Cause my skills are gonna take 45 minutes.
Alright. We'll jump back into it. We can get you guys out of 2 hours. Burns are a result of time and temperature. The longer the exposure, the higher the temperature. I left this slide in because I thought these numbers were actually kind of interesting. I didn't know that there was set numbers on first degree, second degree, third degree burns. Apparently there is. I did not know that. First degree burns, 118 Fahrenheit, second degree burns, 131, third degree burns, 152. Describe the inspection and cleaning and maintenance of the PPE. Let's talk about it here. So at the start of every shift, obviously we should always inspect our gear, make sure it's in good condition. After every use, after every washing, repair, or decontamination on a periodic basis. So at the start of every shift, obviously you should make sure all your stuff's good. After every time you use it, just make sure there's no damage to anything. And after washing, repair, decontamination. So a lot of times we'll wash our stuff and we'll leave it hang to dry, and then we'll have another shift come, who's ever coming on. A lot of times they'll put our gear back together for us. But we gotta make sure that what we're doing is, say we have a new firefighter who's trying to be helpful and put our stuff together for us. Well, maybe he's not familiar with the DRD. I've had it before where my drag device was not put in properly. So just make sure, just double check. Somebody does, it's nice enough to put your gear back together for them. Make sure that that DRD is set in there right. Make sure your coat's buttoned right. One rule I always have, anytime I always wash my stuff and I put it back together even myself, I always put it on. There's been a lot of times where I'll get my cuff links buttoned on the wrong side and I'm trying to get my hand through and I can't get my hand through. That wouldn't be very ideal to try to figure that out when you're actually needing it. Routine cleaning, you should perform yourself. Advanced cleaning, decontamination, or repairs or replacement, report to your supervisor. Annual inspection performed by a department member who is trained in advanced inspection. So our shift is Alan Weckenberg. He goes through and we put our gear on. He always makes us bend over, which feels weird. And he makes sure that all our stuff's good. PPE that is carried in personal vehicles should be placed in closable garment bags to protect it from sunlight degradation. Volunteers a lot, and with our floaters here, they'll carry their stuff in their vehicle. The one we want to make sure that we're carrying in our trunk or maybe even a tote, try to keep those carcinogens in it. We don't want any carcinogens just floating around our vehicle if we can avoid it. But also save on wear and tear of the gear. We try to keep it out of the sunlight, because sunlight is harmful on just about everything, especially Mary Lee's skin. Inhalation of smoke and products of combustion, short and long-term or fatal health hazards. Respiratory protection. Most effective way to protect health. SCBA used is required by NFPA 101, 1001. Should be used in any IDLH environment and during overhaul. Obviously, smoke inhalation is bad. It's bad for your lungs, bad for your throat, bad for your overall health. It is a weird concept to try to grasp, wrap your brain around. But if you are in an IDLH environment, you are running out of air. You are better off sucking that mask to your face and just going unconscious and hoping somebody can find you in that time frame than you are on popping that mask or taking that regulator off and trying to breathe that stuff in. Because that will in fact definitely kill you, when maybe if you're without oxygen for a couple minutes, won't kill you. So it's a lot easier said than done, I am certain, but you're always better off stuff that baby to your face. With overhaul, we try to make sure that we are always still on air during overhaul. A lot of times what we do is we'll walk through with 5-gas. The 5-gas is still reading any kind of levels at all. We're still in air pack. If the 5-gas says it's all good, a lot of times we'll throw an N95 on just for the heck of it. Respiratory hazards common in IDLH situation: oxygen deficiency, elevated temperatures, particulate contaminants, gases and vapors, airborne pathogens. So don appropriate PPE and respiratory protection for entering potential IDLH structure or area. Toxic structure fires, heated gases, oxygen deficient. Actually, every one of those things is going to be on structure fire. But it's not just structure fires. We could have an ammonia spill or carbon monoxide leak in a house. Any of those kind of environments are still IDLH just because they're not on fire. They are still hazards to respiratory system. So we are still using an SCBA to protect ourselves. Oxygen deficiency. So these are kind of the symptoms at what ranges. We all know that we have a 5-gas monitor. 5-gas monitor does a very good job at telling us what these ratings are. So anytime that you are getting any of these symptoms, we know that something's going on. We need to be in an SCBA. Obviously, we should know this before going into this area. We should be, our fail-safe should be an SCBA going into the 5-gas. And we confirm that the area is good, the 5-gas, with the 5-gas, and then we can take our SCBA off if necessary. But where this comes into play for me is if you have patients calling in saying that they have dizziness, headache, rapid fatigue, or maybe they're just completely incapacitated and unconscious, that would raise a red flag to me that we need to be in SCBA because there is some sort of IDLH environment going on there. Jump the gun a little bit, carbon dioxide. So these are different types of IDLH environments: pesticides, chlorine, sulfur dioxide, ammonia, and carbon dioxide. And so a lot of what we're going to deal with residential stuff is more so we're worried about carbon monoxide. We go to any kind of alarm for an IDLH stuff. But if you have any kind of like what's the big chemical? What be thinking? Just think it's like the starts with an M. Farming place that.
Ammonia. MFA.
More basic than that, like it's not nationwide. No, okay. Chlorine is a big one too. A lot of your pools and stuff will have chlorines, water treatment facilities. Ammonia, so we can have anhydrous ammonia leaks at MFA. We had one not too long ago. Not wearing a CBA. Other locations, storm drains, caves, trenches, storage tanks, bins, anything with a confined space that doesn't have regular air coming through it frequently, that can all get contaminated. Identify SCBA components. So we have difference between open circuit and a closed circuit. So we have an open circuit. So we're gonna stick mostly just to that. So we have a phase piece, a regulator, a bypass valve, high pressure air hose, a RIC UAC. A good one to know. And our cylinder, our valve. This is all what we're very familiar with. So we do annual fit testing here. Sneller does that for us. We have a fit testing machine. Just make sure that our mask is getting a proper seal, so we're not getting any bad stuff coming into our mask when we're trying to breathe good air. Facial hair can prevent it. Eyeglasses are prohibited if the side of the frames pass through the mask, because obviously you can't get a good seal if it's past that. Another thing with eyeglasses is they do make inserts that you can put inside your mask. And if your eyeglasses come outside your mask, the two things that are bad, obviously you're not gonna get a good seal, but two, that frame can actually heat up because that wouldn't be protected maybe. And if that frame heats up, obviously it can burn. Or it could burn your skin. Contact lenses are allowed, that's good. Me and Margaret would be able to see if they weren't. So there's different donning methods of an SCBA. When we all took Fire 1-2 class, they taught us the over the head and the coat method, and you had to get it in under a minute. And then you start on the fire department, and you realize you never put an air pack on like that. 90% of the times when you put an air pack on, it's in the seat. So we practice the seat method. Most drivers, we still do. We still do overhead or coat, just because obviously can't drive in an air pack. So we have to, when we get out, we have to put our air pack on. So we still do that, but anytime firefighters and captains, I'd say 99% of the time, they're putting it on in the seat. With the, in the seat, it is a practice skill. You have to be, your seatbelt has to be fastened. You gotta make sure that you are safe while putting it on. So my biggest thing on that would be get to the truck first, get your air pack on, and then put your seatbelts on before the truck even starts moving. Side mount, I think we maybe got 1 or 2 trucks that are like that, but it's not really anything that we do. Inspection prior to donning. Check your air cylinder gauge and remote gauge. Fully extend face piece and harness straps, check valve function, test low pressure alarm, test pass device, check battery powered functions. So these are everyday checks. So when we start on shift in the mornings, these are checks that we should be doing first thing in the morning. Fully extend donning face piece, fully extend straps, ensure no hair is in between the skin and the face piece seal. Center the chin, then the chin cup and harness at the rear of the head. Tighten face piece straps by pulling to the rear. Check the seal, exhalation valve, and all connections. Pull the hood over the face and over all exposed skin. Wear the helmet with chin straps and secure and fit adjusted. So one thing I forgot to mention about is sometimes on day 2, maybe we forget to shave our face. It could hinder a good seal with a mask, good fit test seal. And if you don't have that good seal, obviously you're in danger. But also with that, if they come in to say there's God forbid some sort of fatality or injury, and they come in and do an investigation and they see that you have 4 days worth of scruff on your face, that could prevent maybe some of the financial benefits that you or your family could receive. So make sure that that is within policy, your face hair. Also, if you have beautiful long locks up top. Make sure those aren't in between that seal. Same thing. When we check the seal, that's just a quick, and we're gonna go over all that. That's just a quick, put your palm up there and you should be able to suck that mask to your face. With your face piece, daily, weekly inspections. So all of our stuff is daily inspections. We don't just come in once a week and check our air packs, face masks. Face piece, backplate and harness assembly, breathing air, cylinder assembly, hoses, low pressure alarm regulator, pressure indicated gauges, integrated pass. So I believe what it's trying to say is these are the things that we do daily or weekly, but those are daily. All those tasks up there are daily things for us. I'm checking our air packs every morning. An annual SCBA inspection and maintenance must be performed by a specially trained factory qualified technicians according to manufacturer's recommendations. Fire department personnel are certified maintenance contractors. So the department I was on before, Jeff City, we had contractors come in once a year and they would do all of our air packs for us. Snell Dog does all of them for us now. Right, he does all that yearly testing. So
They still bring,
I would say he takes them too.
that's right,
they still bring in Bill Fire dude.
but he kind of assists them or.
He does.
He collects them all.
Yeah, but Bill
Keeps
does
track
the
of them.
inspections and testing.
So we do have, and he's certified, right? You have to go to a course.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have a guy who's certified to do all those for us, but, we still have a outside contractor to assist for our yearly testing. We always make sure our bottles are in date with the hydrostatic testing. And, with those, composite bottles, they do have a lifespan on them, so they do age out after 15 years. 15 years. And every 5 years for hydrostatic testing. Check the hydrostatic test dates. I don't even need these slides. It's all up here.
It's full of knowledge.
Stay on script, good.
Obviously, you need standards.
Inspect the cylinders before filling, check the working pressure. Where required, hearing and eye protection, place cylinder in a shielded fill station, fill cylinder slowly, ensure cylinder is full but not over pressurized. Only allow trade personnel to operate fill equipment. With filling, we want to make sure that we do fill it slowly. One for safety, obviously, but the main reason for me is if I fill it hot, it's just gonna, once it cools down, that air is not gonna expand as much, so it's not gonna be as full. So then I just have to either one, come back and top them back the next shift or the next day. So it just requires double the work. So I can just fill them slowly, make sure they're good. And so all of our fill stations have regulators, so they are filled to, they do allow you to overfill unless somebody just came and cranked that regulator down, then you can't overfill them. And if you do overfill them, there's a burst disc in it that'll go off and it will scare you. But it makes sure the bottle will not keep filling until it explodes. So there is some fail safes, but if that burst disc goes off, that bottle is out of service. So there's an example of the stationary fill systems. Every one that we have is a cascade system. We have one here at Hyde Park. We have one at Station 1, Station 2, and Station 3. For the fill stations, the one at Station 1 requires a bachelor's degree to be able to use it, but the other ones are pretty dummy proof. And the way the cascade system works is you start at 1, and then once you've maxed out the air you get out of that, you go to 2, and then you go to 3, and you go to 4. And then once these bottles are drained down enough, you got to open them all up and then fill all the bottles. It's really frustrating when you go to use the cascade system and you realize people before you have not been cascading. So then you can't top any of your bottles off because none of them have enough pressure in them to top that last bit off. Replacing SCBA cylinders. So obviously there's 2 different methods really. If you are, maybe you're in rehab and you're not going to go back for a while into the structure fire, or maybe you're done for the event, take your air pack off, you can change it yourself. If you are just simply swapping a bottle and going right back to work, then it's easier for somebody just to swap your bottle out for you. Either way is fairly simple. A lot of the old guys can't reach the bottle to even turn it off, so you gotta turn the bottles off for them and pretty much do everything for them. Like Brad. Empty cylinders, keep separate from full cylinders. Damaged cylinders, clearly marked, keep separate from empty and full cylinders. So with empty cylinders, we know here that if it's on the truck and it's flipped around backwards, where the top end is out first, we know that that's an empty cylinder. So we know not to grab that cylinder. So that is a good practice to keep. That way we're not putting half cylinders in people, sending them back in, and then realizing they gotta come right back out. Kind of the same way, I think, with O2 bottles. So we have O2 bottles on the trucks. And an O2 bottle that is full, that's a spare, we keep that green tag on it. Sometimes those green tags can get broke off. And then you have a O2 bottle sitting in there that you have no way of telling if it's empty or full. So if that little green tag does get broke off, I'll just put a piece of tape on it and write full on it. Just some way to indicate that that is still a good thing. Safety concerns while wearing SCBA. Exposure to airborne hazards, fatigue, regulating air supply, proper exit procedures. So we all know that if you are wearing an SCBA and you're breathing on air, that it does decrease your visibility. You're not going to be able to see as good, you're not going to be able to hear as good. The weight of it makes it harder to move as well. Regulating your air supply. So the better shape you're in, the more you're used to breathing on an SCBA, the more you can get out of your bottle. So if I send Ryan Locke in, I know that he's not going to be able to use much of that bottle before he's got to come out. Proper exit procedures. So just know your protocols, know your procedures. So we do bingo air. So 50%, we got a radio to IC, let them know that we're a bingo air. And sometimes they might say, you're a bingo air. We're right near an exit. We're just finishing up a couple little things here, and then we'll be coming out. Like, that's completely fine, stay in. Or they might say, we got 5 crews waiting on deck, just come on out, and we'll swap you out. Only enter ideal H atmosphere if you are certified to wear an SCBA and properly fit tested. Closely monitor how you feel. If you become fatigued, notify your supervisor and rest. So everybody should be fit tested when they first start here before they can go into an IDLH environment. I think we do a pretty good job of that. SCBAs has to be one of the very first things that we check new people off on. We really hit that hard on their new hire books. If they're going to be good at one thing, that's probably the one thing to be good at. Closely monitor how you feel. Sometimes we can get you can get tired and you get fatigued, but knowing yourself and knowing that is this just a normal tired, or am I starting to get towards where I really need to get out of here and get a break. Sometimes when you get to breathing real hard, sometimes it's hard to get your breathing to slow back down, and then you kind of get a little panicky, which is completely normal. But you just gotta work to calm yourself back down, start taking slow, deep breaths, and then see if you can still do some work. SCBA safety precautions. So before entering an ideal H atmosphere, check cylinder pressure and estimate point of no return. Establish a personnel baseline for air usage. After entering an ideal H atmosphere, keep an SCBA on and activated until you leave the contaminated area. Improved visibility does not ensure area is free of contamination. Before you remove SCBA, the atmosphere must be tested and found safe. So obviously, before you go into an ideal environment, you should make sure that your cylinder is good. You should have checked it that morning, but then before you go in, you should also, when you turn it on, check that pass, make sure you still have good air, make sure nothing came loose. So after entering the IDLH atmosphere, keep SCBA activated until you leave the contaminated area. And just because you can see doesn't mean it's free of contamination. So that to me is if I'm walking out of a structure, there's still a light haze, but I'm tired of being on air, and I'll unclip and then take a couple breaths of bad air before I get to good air. There's just no reason for that. Just keep it on until you get out of the structure. And then make sure it's tested and found safe before you remove your SCBA. So like we talked about, that's with our 5 gas on the overhaul operations. Working teams of 2 or more in IDLH atmosphere. So we always do that. We're never going into structures by ourselves. We always have teams of 2. Remain physical, voice, or visual contact. Radio contact is not sufficient. So if we break apart, I still have to be able to yell at you with my voice. I can't just radio to you, say, hey, did you search that room? That's technically not in communication with each other. Thermal imager can help maintain contacts. We work a lot of on that here lately with our searches, where if you go in with 3 people, it's kind of nice for somebody to kind of sit back with the thermal, and then 2 people can break off search rooms and they can monitor you with the thermals. So they still have eyes on you, even though you can't see them. Somebody's got eyes on you, knowing where you're at. So that's a quick way to do a primary search. Exit IDLH atmosphere before low air alarm activates. So we should never be, our passive or our vibe alert should never be going off while we're inside a structure. We do that, we get a big long talk to, and we get sat down with safety committee, asking us what we were doing. So it is good practice if you and your company officer go in, every once in a while give them an update on my air supply. I'm at 75%, I'm at 60%, rough estimates. And if I get to bingo air, say, hey, I'm at bingo air, that way they can tell command we're at bingo air. But we should never be in a time where we're at a low air alarm inside a structure without having a very good reason. Exit indicators. Always be prepared to make a rapid exit or withdrawal. So always have a get out plan. Non-emergency exit indicators. Situation is stabilized. Change in operational strategy. Necessary to replace an air cylinder. IC orders non-emergency withdrawal. Assignment is complete. There's reasons why we would leave that aren't a hurry up and get out kind of scenario. Emergency exit indicators. Activation of SCBA low pressure air alarm. Withdrawal orders issued by IC or safety officer. Changes in environmental conditions, changes in oxygen level, indications of a new hazard. So changes in, IC withdrawals, so they say everybody evac. Obviously we gotta get out. Your low pressure alarm, we already talked about it, that shouldn't happen, but if it does, you gotta get out. Change in environmental conditions, so if your house you're in, all of a sudden things get real bad, fire starts spreading rapidly, we have to worry about getting out. IC is responsible for constantly monitoring the structure, the environment that we're in. So if anytime they deem that it is unsafe for us to be in there, they will do they'll either evacuate us or do a emergency withdrawal, which is the emergency evacuation and the 3 long air horns to everybody get out. Oxygen deficiency, report symptoms and evacuate area immediately. Lightheadedness, disorientation, loss of coordination, increased breathing rates, rapid fatigue. So to me, it's not a panic attack, but everything that what a panic attack would be kind of these symptoms of a reason to get out. If you're feeling any of these symptoms, you're obviously no good inside of a structure, so you might as well get out. Get your stuff back together while somebody else can go in there. Always have the buddy system, controlled breathing. I know I went through those slides relatively quick, but I wanted to save some time for the practicals and our written tests, and I wanted to go over our current air pack. So if there are any questions over the slides?
Nope.
No, sir.
All right. With our air packs, we got our waist straps. Be in the ready position, our waist straps are undone all the way loose, because if they're halfway tight, it's not gonna be conducive for everybody. So in the ready position, all straps undone completely all the way. I prefer mine when it sits in the seat to have them kind of flow through like that. Mostly for this one, because it has a little hockey puck that likes to wedge in between the seats and get stuck. All you gotta do to pull it out is yank on it. 6 AA batteries. If you ever have that chirp every so often, a chirp will go off, so in low battery. 6 AA batteries in there. Got my pressure gauge here, tells me how much pressure I got in the bottle. This pressure gauge and your pressure gauge on your pass device should be the exact same. If you have big difference between the two, a small difference between the two, that's got to be reported because something is not working exactly right. When we come up, this is our high pressure line, comes in here, and then everything else is the low pressure stuff. Our regulators have quick connects. They can easily get popped off, which is nice for different training. If we want to train in an air pack, but don't necessarily be on air, we don't want our regulators to get beat up. We can pop these off. This is our regulator, so it's got our purge. So you just follow the arrow, open all the way, free flowing air. Whenever I go to breathe in, that's gonna bring negative pressure in. That's gonna flip that seal to allow air to come in when I take a breath. If you ever put a regulator on for a down firefighter and they're not breathing, there's a switch on the back that you can push in. And then that way, if they ever do start breathing, it'll give them a little bits of air. And that way, when they do start breathing spontaneously by themselves, while they're getting dragged out or however, that way they're getting some air. Or you could just crack your purge, either way you want to do that. We got our buddy breather, which our new air packs will not have.
As of right now, no.
Our new air packs will not have a buddy breather. But we do have buddy breathers on these air packs. So you can hook up to another air pack if you are low on air, need help getting out. We also carry rip packs on our trucks. So we can carry rip packs in, do a hot fill hookup. On a bottle. That is the RIC and UAC.
What does UAC stand for?
A very good question.
Universal Air Connection.
That's what I was gonna say. That was a good test. Very hard to get buttons back. So I will run you through my morning check with the air pack. Look on my regulator, make sure it's closed, make sure my purge is closed. Check my pressure, make sure it's good. Pressure's good, it's at 5,500. Charging the system. Make sure my heads up display lights are on. Make sure my pass gauge and my pressure gauge on the bottle are the same. I make sure that it can go into emergency mode, so I'm gonna set my pass off. This is the pre-alert, so I'll let this one go first. That was the 30 seconds of not moving, and then I went into activation. I also have a red button here that I can push. That sends it right into an emergency activation. We also have a blue button that we don't use here. Kind of do, but I'm not gonna get into it. So I make sure I got 2 green lights. So 2 green lights, 100%. 1 green light, 75%. 1 orange light is when we're at bingo air. We're at bingo air, as we talked about, radio to incident command, tell them we're at bingo air. Then I put my mask on, take a breath, make sure got a good seal. When I turn my bottle off. So I will bleed the air down until I get to my vital alert, and I'll let my vital alert run all the way till it's empty. Air is bled all the way. So your vital alert is always going to use air to make it do that vibrating. So it will constantly be using air even if you're not breathing. So I drained it all the way down. And I shut my pack off. So that is my test on that. So we're going to talk about cleaning the air packs real fast. So when we clean our air packs, we want to do it after every fire, make sure we get all the carcinogens, bad stuff off. A lot of times that holds a bunch of insulation, clean all that stuff off. In order to make sure the air pack's going to be in best working condition, it should be clean. So we clean it. On scene, we usually do a gross decontamination where we're just going to we have a booster line pulled in the front yard. When you come out and you're done working, we'll spray everything down. Just to get the bulk of the material. When it comes to cleaning the rest of it, separate the air bottle out, spray everything down, use a brush, wipe it all down, making sure you're getting the straps. Before you pull out your rig, buddy breather, spraying all that out. And same thing with our face piece, when we clean our face piece. With our face piece, the important thing to clean, obviously we want the carcinogen stuff gone, like we said. This netting can hold a lot of stuff, so we want to make sure we get this netting good and clean. But we also want to make sure our lens is good and clear. So I put my mask on and I didn't clean it from the last time. Now I can't see out of it, and I'm not even in the smoky environment. That's not ideal. So this nose piece pops off simple enough. You just pop it out of here. You can pull it out, rinse all that down, rinse my face mask off, wipe it all dry. Now I can actually see out of it. Our practicals that we're going to go over is going to be cleaning. It's just walking through the steps on cleaning the SCBA, and then we're going to go over just a routine SCBA inspection. So there's going to be 2 practicals. We're going to go over both of those. And then we're gonna do a written test, and then you guys are gonna be out of here. So you guys wanna do your practical or your written test first?
Written test.
Written test first. So let's do a 5-minute break,
Yeah.
and then when you come back, I'm going to have you guys sit. One sits here, one sits here, and one sits here. So that way we are spread out for security purposes of the test. I don't know if you caught that at that point. 5-minute break. We'll be back at 11:37.
Thank you.
Well, this thing wasn't recorded the whole time.
I'd try if I were you.
Oh,
I'd try if I were you.
After we do the written test, just go out for the day when you're done. And then, once everybody's done, we'll come in one at a time and do the practicals. And
Practical is just like, so self-test of the, or test of the SCBA and
yeah, it's just a daily inspection of SCBA and then cleaning of us. Basically, just wants you to pick stuff apart. So I walk you through how you rinse everything off, and then the daily inspections, just making sure your valves and work and as up display works and all that kind of stuff. I don't know how. Once you just submit. I submit all this stuff
I think there's like links on Acatus.
on how to do it.
Like, you click it and you submit your stuff. That's what it made it sound like when I was reading. That's what the people in our officer cost sounded like. They're doing. I know when you go to renew something, you just hit the renew button. You can put stuff in that way. So I don't know if there's like a. You can click on the practical part.
I'll be happy when this one's done.
feel very,
Are you?
just did this.
We got our gas man practicals down here next weekend. Next weekend.
That's weird.
How's that?
I don't even know what the kids look like. But are getting a good crew.
During my partner ran out of air
Really?
and they had to strip them down. Yeah, they were like, keep going. So I did like 2 skills by myself.
I had Tapia.
Uh.
And they're like, which skill do you want? We'll give you the choice. You want class B scenario or class A scenario? He goes, oh, class A.
Yeah, he ended up not doing the written test.
He didn't?
Yeah, you didn't hear the story? They said, so I guess they went on a call and,
Oh, yeah, you gonna leave her?
yeah, and they were like, hey, you just went through the class. We don't have anyone who's a certified tech, but you're close enough. And he burned himself. And he said, I'm not doing this, I'm not being the person that has to go in anymore, so he didn't take it through it. Hurt his hands.
We'll knock out this. 11:37. All right, so there's no talking during the test. We're looking at each other's answers. That's the best of your ability. Thought you guys very well. Whenever you're done, just leave your test on your desk. Walk out. Please. I'm gonna sit here and monitor for security purposes.
Security.
That's what I said.
Not this.
Well,
What if we fail? Right then? No.
Mark, you want to do your practical or do you need to? Yeah. We can do your practicals. But about what's already over. Search, I think.
Somebody told me, yes, we found out. They have something for you. No, they didn't. Usually that's what we- Bruce Bjorn, I think.
What was popping, but. The skill objectives for this practical. The skill is routine SCBA inspection. The student shall perform an inspection of an SCBA unit as if it were a daily or routinely scheduled inspection. The student shall use any SCBA units available that the fire department has. Skill instructions. The student shall demonstrate daily periodic inspections, cleaning, sanitizing in the unit to reassure SCBA is ready for use. You may begin.
Your back. General wear, care, cleanliness, hygiene. Stress, make sure there's no tears. Obvious wear patterns. That's. Check the Bible itself. Connections. Wear patterns. Make sure that it's free of any debris. Thermal damage. Existing carbon. Debris from overhaul and use. Check the threads. Damage, mechanical, thermal damage. Proper use, I'm gonna check the date. Check any tags. Make sure that the header dates are up to speed, up to the date. Make sure that it can be secured on there. Keep it in the back. Check all my connections. That. The capacity of the bottle and make sure that it's full. I turn it on and make sure that it matches. The bottle pressure matches the gauge on the front of the pack. So make sure that everything is in the pack that needs to be there, all the connections. They're in working order. I'm checking the straps, make sure that they're flaked all the way out. So I can get it on. So I need it. Once I turn everything on, make sure that the batteries are charged. We have the energy that we need. Can operate correctly. If not, I'm gonna locate, make sure that they, the fasteners are secured properly. Check the gauges once I do that, make sure that the pressure is matched on each side. Check my heads up display, make sure that it's in line with pressure showing. Check my hoses. Again, make sure there's no damage. Check my connections, make sure that everything's tight. Check my low pressure. Regulator. Pretty properly. It is. Hear my fast device go off, make sure that it's off within the 30 seconds that it's mandated. I set all the buttons. So there, I shut it off. Out, make sure my low air alarm working. Library alert. Working. Fast twice going off and let it go all the way out. You also know that my batteries are charged and everything's working as it should, so. Back turned off. Ready to rock.
Very good, Captain Long.
Next.
Next part, so. The student shall demonstrate the proper procedures for cleaning parts of self-contained breathing apparatus. The student shall use an SCBA units available to the fire department.
Just this for the mask itself for both.
Mask itself, please go perfect.
Yeah, so generally after a fire, like earlier mentioned the debris, there can be thermal and mechanical damage on the mask itself. Sweat, debris, any type of carbon that's built up on the mask. So make sure that the straps are fully deployed, extended, and we'll go in and do a very detailed cleaning of all the straps, any of the fabrics that are involved. Within that, we'll try to take the mask apart if needed. But any warm soap on the inside of the mask, warm soapy water solution. And then it needs disinfectant. We do that. Any brood cleaners that won't damage or adversely affect the performance of the mask. Big thing is to make sure that there's clear visibility on the mask and that you're not going to compromise your ability to breathe clean air. So you gotta be super thorough and make sure you get in on the nooks and crannies of the mask and the flanges without impacting the ability for it to seal up while it's in use. But one of the big things is having it clean around the mask for vision purposes to make sure that you're not obscuring your vision while it's in use. Make sure
And if I need to disassemble the air pack. If I need to disassemble a couple things on the air pack, how would I do that?
I'll take the bottle up. To clean it or just to do it?
I need to clean it, but I should do it.
I'll take apart the air pack. Clean it, so I'm gonna flip the tie down strap. I'm gonna undo the connection for the bottle to the pack itself. And this, I'm cleaning all this, I'm gonna be looking at it, making sure there's no debris. Anything that needs to be cleaned out, and then there's a flip here to take the bottle off. Get the bottle out. Yeah, let's check.
Thank you very much.
Did I miss that earlier?
That was on here, and it just says this symbol.
That's a nasty tone about it.
Ready for the next person?
Yes. Rock, paper, scissors.
Arch?
Mitchell?
The first thing will be students shall demonstrate the proper procedures for cleaning the parts of the self-contained breathing apparatus. The student shall use any SCBA units available to the fire department. So just, go over. And obviously we don't have cleaners or water. But just go verbalize and disassemble whatever you need to disassemble and go over the cleaning procedures for the SCBA.
So typically take a brush and get any of the insulation, all the big chunky stuff off first. Pull them down, we have soap too. You can take the bottle off. You're probably gonna change it anyway, but stuff can get trapped behind there. You want to make sure you get all your straps and all of that as well. And loosen them. All the way out if you're putting it back, if you're completely unloosening it. Pull the bottle out. Clean everything back here, stuff gets stuck, there's literally insulation in this right now.
Fun.
So you can clean that out. Put your new bottle back in. Then you can, like regular, make sure stuff's on in there, cause that will get right in your eyeball the next time you go. And like down all the straps, extend all the straps and everything gets washed. Waist straps and forward straps. Check back here,
Perfect.
clean it all in, wash it off.
The other part that we need to clean, which is my fault for not putting it on that table, is side mask.
Clean your mask too. Wipe it down, usually just mild soap and water. Outside, inside, you can pop this out if you need to really get in there. All around here. Like your mesh part, might have to scrub that down with a brush. Get all your straps. All that, and dry it off.
Very good. End of practical one. Whenever you're ready to start practical two, let me know and I will read you. Thanks.
I'm ready.
The student shall perform an inspection of an SCBA unit as if it were a daily routinely scheduled inspection. The student shall use any SCBA units available to the fire department. So with the, practical, you don't have to put the mask on, just verbalize how you would make sure you were testing that as well.
All right, so first thing you do, is check the bottle, make sure it's at 5,500, which it is. Make sure our heads up display comes on. And make sure our gauge reads full, matches the bottle, which it does. Works too. Batteries are good on it, it's not even or showing red. Preloader go off. That a little bit. Sure the heads up display. Working, and then I click through. Fiber work, the heads up display worked like it's supposed to. The gauge went down like it was supposed to. And then, for your mask, you put it on. Tighten it down to your face like you normally do. Put your hand, breathe in, make sure it suctions to your face. Make sure it's clean and ready to go. And the voice if it works. First time well. You can check it anyway. And you also check to make sure your straps are all the way out of the person before you do move them.
Only thing you missed was hydrostatic test date. I want you to verbalize that, but everything else was fantastic. You are done. Thank you very much.
Yep.
You watching now?
No. That's scary.
You're psycho.
Nick Pollard.
Yes, sir.
The student shall perform an inspection of an SCBA unit as if it were their daily routinely scheduled inspection. The student shall use any SCBA units available to the fire department. Do you have to put the mask on? Just verbalize how you would check the mask as well.
Start off by donning the mask, creating a seal, not pushing it into my face, but just holding it out. Creating a seal, sucking in, blowing out, make sure there's no leaks around the edges. Checking the straps for tightness, make sure they still have some elasticity. That way we can, it will stay in place. Go to my SCBA. Do a function test. Go through the cycle. Check, make sure all my lights come on. Match the cylinder pressure to the control module pressure. Make sure that works. Go ahead and shut the bottle off. And make sure my pass device sounds. Pass device is activated, do manual activation. Manual activation works. I will have my mask on, snap in my regulator, make sure I can breathe down the air. Typically, I will breathe down the air to the point the viber alert kicks on. Make sure that functions, but for this purpose, I'll just crack it and bleed. I will, as I'm bleeding it, I'm making sure my heads up display is reflecting the appropriate change. Leave the system off. Shut the pack down. And then the last thing is I will press and hold and do it, make sure that the battery's checked is good.
The only thing you missed was check the hydrostatic test date and verbalize that it was in the tested date. But everything else was perfect. Guilty. Students shall demonstrate the proper procedures for cleaning the parts of the self-contained breathing apparatus. The student shall use any SCBA units available to the fire department. Obviously, we do not have any cleaners or water, so just walk me through verbalizing how you would clean it or disassembling things if you needed to disassemble any things.
Okay. First, I'd start just gross decon brushing that what I could off of it, getting all the, the insulation or whatever would happen to be on it. Then I would start by taking the bottle out, so taking the high pressure hose off the bottle. Pulling the bottle out and then use manufacturer approved cleaning supplies to clean the bottle, rinse it down And then clean the harness per the manufacturer's spec with appropriate cleaning solution, scrubbing it down inside all the crevices, making sure there's nothing, no debris or insulation or anything stuck within in the pipe, rinse it down, and then make sure it dries.
Perfect. All done. You can tell them I'm gonna grade their tests real fast, make sure we don't have to go over anything. Then we are each. Gotta grade your test real fast and then come back in and I'll be done. Yes, please come back in class. So I just wanted to go over a commonly missed question real fast. Everybody passed, if it's wonderful, the written and the practical. Thank you for your time. Thank you. Airborne pathogens may cause illnesses through inhalation or, kind of a weird question. But they are looking for direct contact. Because the other options were ingestion, absorption, adsorption. I don't know what that means. But direct contact would be all those, rather than just picking one. Direct contact, essentially all of them. Tricky state question. Other than that, everybody did fantastic. Everybody passed, should be getting your certifications in the mail. And that is all. Now, make sure that we do not. Oh, I'm nervous about this part.
Drop down arrow.
I thought you were grabbing the ropes, turning it.
Yeah.
Drop down arrow.
What inverse texting?
Lead in the meeting,
In the meeting or leave?
in the meeting.
Yeah, don't leave the meeting.
In the meeting. Oh, we didn't talk about this part. In?
It should just say
Yes.